first of all, we found that Kenya, unlike many other countries in East Africa, is doing very well in terms of women participation in the labor force. We see that almost 75% of women are actually participating in the labor force, a ratio which is very close to, a percentage which is very close to that of men, of about just 79. So compared to the other countries in the region, it's doing very well. But the thing is, the women are participating, but where are they participating? And that's where this study came in handy to try and get to know where or which sectors are these women participating in. And we found that one of the context-specific finding that we got was that this large participation masks a lot of inequalities in there between men and women. And we find that even though women are able to access labor market opportunities, they are mostly ending up in low-quality jobs, vulnerable employments that do not meet any of the conditions set out by the ILO as decent work indicators. Most of these women are involved in jobs that do not pay minimum wage. They are involved in jobs that do not have contracts. They are involved in jobs that do not have trade union representation, that do not have any form of social protection. And we found that actually more than 50% of the women are involved in these jobs. And so we set out to find out what are the barriers to women participating in these decent jobs, because as we now get into the Sustainable Development Goal, one of them is creation of decent job opportunities. So we need women to move at the same pace as the men. So we sought out to find out what are the barriers to women accessing these decent work opportunities. And from the country context, we found that women who have lower level of education have lower chance of getting these decent work opportunities. We also found that generally, when the opportunity in the formal sector are limited, then the chance of women accessing decent work opportunities becomes smaller, because then the opportunities that they are fighting for are less. We also found that presence of children, young children below 5 years, acts as barriers to women participating in decent work. And we understand this because of formalities associated with some of these jobs that require them to be employed. So if they don't have enough help at home to care for the children, then that will be a deterrence from them participating in the labor market. So as we interacted more with the policymakers, we then made 3 main recommendations based on what we found in our study. And one of them was to do with the inadequate childcare facilities that women face as a barrier to them participating in decent work. So in this, then we are recommending that the government get involved in direct provision of childcare services. As it is now, childcare is almost 100% private. So it's usually done by the private firms, individuals. So the government plays very limited role in this. So we are recommending that the government comes in and, just like they provide public primary education, they also include a component of public daycare facilities to help women have a secure and safe place to leave their children so that they can be able to participate in the employment. And especially that gives them a chance to access quality employment like decent work. And we were glad to learn that when we are interacting with the policymakers, that this is something that is underway, and they are rolling out public daycare facilities in almost all the counties in Nairobi. Our second recommendation was on creation of formal sector employment opportunities. Government helping farms, especially those ones owned by women, to become formal. That way they can grow and be able to be engaged in productive activities, and therefore be able to make more profits, and therefore be able to be large farms and be considered formal, and therefore employ workers that can be considered to be within the formal sector. Then the final thing is how to continue promoting and ensuring that as many women as possible are able to access education, and especially higher levels of education. And some of the barriers that have been previously identified include a financial barrier. So we went in with financial barriers, and we're recommending that the government expands provision of grants and loans for tertiary education. And this should not just be limited to university level education, but college level education as well, so that as many women as possible are able to access these loans and therefore pursue tertiary education, because this is another easy way for them to be able to access decent work opportunities. Because when they are limited and they stand out, then they are likely to get these opportunities.